The Demogorgon. Now we're talking, right? The thing is, as is the case with popular culture, this particular otherworldly entity has had quite a few different avenues to pursue through its fictional history that will make things pretty damn interesting given these hypothetical parameters. Because if you're only here for turning things upside down with the Stranger Things depiction of the creature in question, well, one tabletop game from 1976 is going to flip the table on that assumption. And not only that, but there also may be a much more ancient being lurking somewhere in the shadows too. Who knew the Demogorgon had so much depth? Right? Hello internet, what's going on? And once again, welcome back to the most inquisitive channel on YouTube, Life's Biggest Questions. As per usual, I'll be your disembodied floating voice, Jack Finch. As today we curiously ask the question, what if the Demogorgon was real? Roll the clip. For the curious amongst you, of course, that scene was from Season 1 of Stranger Things, which is, like we said, perhaps the main reason that you guys are even clicking on this particular Life's Biggest Question. And it's interesting to note that when approaching this hypothetical scenario, there are quite a few incarnations of the Demogorgon for us to pick from, which will make things a little interesting in terms of the implications of this entity being real. But perhaps most importantly, and most interesting, the actual origin of the Demogorgon may already actually be real, in terms of ancient history. Anyway, yeah. We didn't see that one coming, right? Before we get to the source, or the Demiurge, shall we say, we should probably paint the parameters of the Demogorgon in contemporary fiction. In the canon of the awesome Netflix series Stranger Things, the Demogorgon, also simply referred to as the Monster, was the titular predatory humanoid creature that entered Hawkins, Indiana through anomalous means way back when in November of 1983. Knowledge of its existence was brought about by a little girl with a shaved head, 11, a psychic test subject from Hawkins National Laboratory, who made interdimensional contact with the creature, causing a gate to be opened from their sleepy suburban town to a bizarre and terrifying parallel dimension, simply referred to as the Upside Down. The Demogorgon itself is a tall and thin humanoid creature with elongated limbs and a head whose flesh unfurls like a terrifying anomalous flower to reveal petals with rows and rows of razor-sharp teeth and a large open mouth. When the Duffer Brothers, the creators of Stranger Things, were describing the creation of the Demogorgon, they attributed its design similar to that of the shark from Jaws. And that's a pretty apt example of what it is, really. It's a terrifying interdimensional shark that bursts from the seams of reality and eats people. If that version of the Demogorgon was real, things would be pretty straightforward, actually. We'd be forced to acknowledge the existence of alternate realities, and after a painstaking amount of exploratory research, most likely at the expense of many human lives, we'd eventually capture and study it, and in all probability use its anomalous biotechnology to traverse other strange new dimensions. And while that sounds like a pretty cut and shut argument, hey, that's just human nature. And as far as we know, there's only one Demogorgon, so unless we add a mind flayer to the equation, there's not that much more competition, actually. But in that respect, that's where things get a little difficult to pin down. You see, for all we know, the creature from the Upside Down may well be something entirely different from the Demogorgon that we are aware of. And not only that, as fans of the show will obviously know, the Demogorgon is merely a nickname, a placeholder to give a title to the terrifying unknown creature from another dimension. And as Dustin, Will, Lucas, and Mike discovered, the most terrifying title that they knew at the time was the Demogorgon, a fictional creature from their favorite game, Dungeons and Dragons, perhaps the greatest tabletop game ever created. It is. In the canon of D&D, the Demogorgon, also known as Amon-Ibor, is the Prince of Demons, the Lord of all that swims in darkness, which essentially means he's one of the baddest two-headed demons in the valley, or, well, the Abyss, the home plane of all demonic evil. The Demogorgon appears as an 18-foot reptilian Tanari, vaguely representing a humanoid form with arms and legs that end in long tentacles and two mandrill heads sprouting from its twin snake-like necks. Yeah. Gross. And those two heads in particular are the crowning glory in this incarnation of the Demogorgon. Two heads and two individual minds. Emul, the left head, and Hethradea, the right head. And one of the best kept secrets of the Demogorgon's demonic power, which it keeps from even its closest cultists and minions, is that its two personas absolutely hate each other, which is literally the worst thing that you could hope for if you had two heads. The Demogorgon's two personas strive to dominate and even kill each other, but are completely unable to, as when they boil it all down, they are just merely aspects of one another. If this incarnation of the Demogorgon was real, well, we'd have to hope to high heaven that it just waited out in its abyssal realm of origin, given the fact that there are an infinite number of them, and we could only cross our fingers in the vain hope that the Demogorgon just leaves us be. Because, yeah, if it doesn't, it's pretty much game over for humanity unless we know of any brave bands of druids, warlocks, and or barbarians looking for an adventure. But you see, we can go one deeper, because Dungeons & Dragons drew its own kind of inspiration from a much more ancient version of the creature creature in question. And there's no other draconic-inspired demon lord of myth and legend than that of the root of all pagan demons, the Demogorgon. And this is where things get a little bit primordial, I guess. In ancient mythology, the Demogorgon is a deity or demon envisioned as an incredibly powerful primordial being whose very name had been made taboo. It is pretty much exclusively associated with the underworld, but the most intriguing part of the ancient Demogorgon is that it is thought to be attributed to a far more ancient creature in turn. You know how the old saying goes, history is written by the victors, right? Well, that's the case with mythology and religion too, and the reason that pretty much all pagan gods are attributed to the title of demons is that the pagan religions were all but wiped out by the newfound forms of Christianity. One of those, Gnosticism, which in turn has its roots in Platonism, the school of philosophy set about by Plato himself in the early 300s BC, attributes the Demogorgon to a much more simple term, the Demiurge, which essentially means craftsman or artisan in ancient Greek. And yet, whilst the Demiurge and the Demogorgon found itself twisted and contorted over time, the root of the Demiurge is far more illuminating than anything else. You see, the meaning behind the ancient Greek translation of craftsman or artisan is fairly straightforward. Eventually, it came to mean producer or creator. Of what, you may ask? Well, the universe. For all intents and purposes, in Gnostic and Platonic teachings, the Demiurge, aka the Demogorgon, is God. Yeah. And I don't think anyone was expecting that kind of question, really, were they? Let's move on. Well, there we have it, guys, our long and short answer to the question, what if the Demogorgon was real? If you believe in God, it may well be. What do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree, have any more to add on the matter? Then let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below, as well as any intriguing insights of your own. Before we depart from today's video, though, if you'd like to carry on with your questioning binge, then please make sure to take a look at our neatly compiled playlist, diligently arranged for your viewing enjoyment. On that note, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for in today's video. Cheers for sticking around all the way until the end. If you were a fan of this video, or just life's biggest questions in general, then please be a dear and hit that thumbs up button, as well as that subscribe bell, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. As per usual, I've been your disembodied floating voice, Jack Finch. You've been watching Life's Biggest Questions, and until next time, you take it easy.